All right, let's talk about Julius Caesar, and I want you to forget everything you think you remember from high school English class. Because this story, it's not just some old play. It's one of the most intense, high-stakes political thrillers in all of history. We're talking about power, backstabbing, betrayal, and a single bloody act that literally set an entire empire on fire. But here's the real heart of it, the question that drives the whole story. What does it actually take to kill an idea? See, that's what this was all about. The men who came for Caesar, they weren't just trying to kill a man. No, they were trying to assassinate the very idea of a king in Rome. But as they're about to find out the hard way, ideas are a lot harder to kill than people. So, okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. We're in Rome, and the whole city is just captivated by this one guy, Julius Caesar. I mean, he's a war hero, a brilliant leader, but for a small group of powerful senators, his level of ambition is a massive threat. You have to remember, the Roman Republic was built on one core principle: no kings. The very word king was like poison in Rome, and these guys saw Caesar getting way too comfortable, maybe even eyeing a crown for himself. And right there, that's the central problem, isn't it? It's like there were two different Caesars. On one side, you've got these senators who look at him and see a straight-up tyrant. A guy so popular and powerful, he's about to tear down the entire republic and make himself emperor. But on the other side, a lot of regular Roman citizens saw a hero, a friend of the people. And as we'll find out, he even left them all his money in his will. So who's right? When you look at the conspiracy itself, it's a real mixed bag of motives. First, you've got a guy like Cassius. For him, it's personal. He's just consumed by this raw jealousy. He can't stand watching Caesar get all this glory. But then you have Brutus. And Brutus is different. He's this noble figure. He's actually Caesar's friend. He is torn apart by this, struggling between his loyalty to Caesar and this genuine, deep-seated fear that his friend's ambition is going to be the death of freedom in Rome. For Brutus, this isn't murder. He truly believes it's a necessary sacrifice for the greater good. Okay, so the plot is in motion. And as it moves forward, it's almost like the universe itself starts screaming out warnings. But what's fascinating is that we're about to see that the most powerful force isn't some sign from the gods. It's just a few carefully chosen words whispered in the right ear. Now, to really get why these warnings were such a big deal, you have to understand what an omen meant to the Romans. This wasn't just some vague superstition for them. No, they believed these were direct messages from the gods, a sign that something was seriously, fundamentally wrong down here on Earth. And man, were the omens piling up. We're talking about Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, having this absolutely terrifying nightmare where she sees his statue gushing blood while smiling Romans are washing their hands in it. I mean, yikes. On top of that, there are reports of ghosts wandering the streets, armies fighting in the clouds. And then, of course, a soothsayer gives him that chillingly famous warning: beware the Ides of March. So Calpurnia's dream really gets to Caesar. He's this close to just staying home. But then one of the conspirators, Decius Brutus, shows up, and what he does next is an absolute masterclass in manipulation. Step 1, he just dismisses the dream, basically tells Caesar, don't listen to your wife, that's silly. Step 2, he completely flips the interpretation. He says, the blood? Oh, that doesn't mean your death. It means Rome is going to suck new life from you. And finally, step 3, the knockout blow. He attacks Caesar's ego. He hints that the Senate is planning to offer him a crown today, and if he doesn't show up, well, they'll think he's weak, a coward, game over. And just like that, with his pride on the line, Caesar makes the fatal choice. He delivers this incredible line saying that cowards die a little bit every day, but the valiant only die once. It sounds incredibly brave, right? But it's really just his pride and his arrogance talking, and it's leading him right into the trap. He decides he's going to the Senate. And so here we are, the Capitol. It's the Ides of March. This is it. This is the point of no return, where the conspiracy, all those warnings, and Caesar's own ego are about to collide in this one massive, history-changing moment of violence. The plan, when it happens, is just brutally simple. One of the senators, Metellus Cimber, walks up to Caesar with a petition. It's the perfect excuse. All the other conspirators can now crowd around him, cutting off any chance of escape. And then they pull out their daggers. The attack is fast, it's vicious, and it is absolute. And as Caesar is falling, he looks up and sees one last soul-crushing face in the crowd of attackers. His friend, Brutus. His famous last words, Et tu, Brute? You too, Brutus? It's not really a question. It's just the ultimate expression of pure shock and betrayal. Realizing that even the man he trusted, even Brutus, wanted him dead. That's the final cut. Okay, so Caesar is dead, the daggers get put away, but this battle is far from over. In fact, it's just getting started. The fight for the future of Rome now moves from the cold stone of the Senate floor to the public square, and the weapons are no longer made of steel, they're made of words. And what follows is this legendary rhetorical showdown. You've got Brutus versus Mark Antony. Brutus goes first, and he gives this very calm, very logical speech. He uses reason, explaining that he killed Caesar not because he hated him, but because he loved Rome more. And you know what? For a minute, it actually works. The crowd is on his side. But then Mark Antony steps up to speak. Antony's strategy is the complete opposite of Brutus's. He couldn't care less about logic. He's here to weaponize emotion. First, he brings out Caesar's dead body for everyone to see, pointing out the wounds. Then, he keeps repeating, over and over, that Brutus is an honorable man, until the words are just dripping with sarcastic poison. And then, the drum card. He pulls out Caesar's will and reveals that Caesar left his money and his land to every single citizen listening. He brilliantly turns their sadness into pure, unadulterated rage. So Antony's speech was the lit match, and as it turns out, all of Rome was a tinderbox just waiting to explode. The conspirators' grand plan to save the Republic, well, it's about to backfire in the most spectacular and tragic way imaginable. It's like watching a line of dominoes fall. Antony's speech incites a riot. The riot turns into a full-blown civil war. The armies of Brutus and Cassius end up facing off against the forces of Antony and Caesar's young heir, Octavius. In the end, Brutus and Cassius are defeated, and both of them take their own lives. The very act that was meant to stop one man from becoming a king has ironically paved the perfect road for the first true emperor of Rome, as Octavius will later become Augustus. And yet, here's the crazy part. At the very end, even his mortal enemy, Mark Antony, gives Brutus his due. He stands over his body and says that Brutus was the noblest Roman of them all. He admits that while all the others acted out of petty envy, Brutus was the only one who genuinely, honestly, believed he was doing the right thing for Rome. He was wrong, but his heart was in the right place. And that leaves us with this one final haunting question. Brutus killed his friend, he sacrificed his honor, and he ultimately lost his life, all for an ideal, the Roman Republic. But his actions led directly to the war that destroyed that very republic and created the empire he was so afraid of. So you have to wonder, was any of it worth it? Or did his noble sacrifice just end up swapping one man's ambition for another's?